Republican Congressman Andrew Clyde is being called out for his actions not only on January 6th, but following the insurrection. You see, on Wednesday, one of the Capitol police officers who was beaten by the MAGA crowd, this is Officer Michael Fanone, went to the Capitol hoping to, talk to or at least schedule some appointments with some of the 21 House Republicans who voted against a bill that would award congressional gold medals to law enforcement officers who were there on January 6th. Now, one of those Republicans was Andrew Clyde, who said at the Capitol, said that the Capitol insurrection looked like a, quote, normal tourist visit. Ah, yes, because, the tourists, they smash the windows, they break into people's offices, beat up police officers with, like, poles and clubs, and, so they spread feces around. Not to mention the steel thing was totally a normal tourist visit. Totally normal. Now, Clyde, as I said, was photographed doing this. That's Andrew Clyde. I should have put like a red marker around him, but yeah. He's barricading the office on January 6th from the tourists. And that's something. Fun times. So now Clyde also apparently refused to shake the hand of Officer Fanone and actually ran from him. Here's him on CNN talking to Don Lemon about it.
I did bump into Representative Andrew Clyde in an elevator.
Yeah, well, let's talk about this because you ran into him, Congressman Andrew Clyde. Here's what he said about January 6th. Watch this.
Let me be clear. There was no insurrection. If you didn't know the TV footage was a video from January the 6th, you would actually think it was a normal tourist visit.
So we have this picture up now. I don't know if you can see it. I think you're in the studio and you can. This is a Clyde trying to barricade a door on January 6th, which clearly wouldn't be necessary with just normal tourists. So what happened when you introduced yourself to the congressman?
So like I had said, I saw Congressman Clyde standing outside of an elevator. I was there with Officer Harry Dunn, who accompanied me throughout the Capitol. Went into the elevator. I greeted Congressman Clyde. I was very cordial. I extended my hand to shake his hand. He just stared at me. I asked him if he was going to shake my hand, and he told me that he didn't know who I was. So I introduced myself. I said that I was Officer Michael Fanone, that I was a D.C. Metropolitan police officer who fought on January 6th to defend the Capitol. And as a result, I suffered a traumatic brain injury as well as a heart attack after having been tased numerous times at the base of my skull, as well as being severely beaten. At that point, the congressman turned away from me, pulled out his cell phone. It looked like he was attempting to pull up like an audio recording app on his phone, and again, like never acknowledged me at any point. As soon as the elevator doors opened, he ran as quickly as he could, like a coward.
Like a coward. Didn't
Correct.
Shake your hand?
Absolutely not.
What do you think of that?
Obviously, like, I took that particular interaction like very personally, but I also took it as a representation of Andrew Clyde giving the middle finger to myself and every other member of the Metropolitan Police Department and U.S. Capitol Police that responded that day.
Back the blue, everybody. We support police. Except, that time. Isn't it funny, though, that the same group of people that, again, we must defend the police officers. We have to defend the police. Well, they only defend the police when the police are cracking the skulls of BLM, black people. And I'm not saying Fanone was one of those people, obviously. But it's just funny that when a pro-Trump mob storms the Capitol to attempt to intimidate politicians into not certifying an election, these politicians show their complete and utter cowardice, therefore deferring to the mob and ignoring the police. Isn't it weird? I mean, what did you expect? I mean, again, the politicians, let's be honest about the politicians and their relationship with the police. Politicians use police as props, and the military as well. So now I have an issue with police, and I think it's been obvious. They've always been used as a force to protect the powerful against the powerless. Now, that's something that Republicans traditionally have always supported. But in this case, however, a MAGA mob literally tried to stop the results of an election that didn't favor them and used violence against the police. So that, of course, has Republicans in kind of a hard spot because, once again, the Republicans are, pro-police, love pro-police, back to blue. But then it's their own voters who put them into power, who expect them to overturn an election and break the law. Well, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, there seems to be a bit of a disconnect here, bit of a problem. And, what's interesting, too, about this is I remember showing you a video of January 6th where you had police officers that didn't take this seriously. They didn't take this seriously. You had videos of cops letting in the MAGA people, opening the doors. And look, it's because, honestly, most police officers are pretty conservative. They're members of the right wing. They're white supremacists, of course, in the police office, in many different police districts. I'm not saying that every single police officer is a white supremacist or white nationalist or anything like that. But I'm saying they have infiltrated law enforcement. And in this case, as I said, a lot of police officers looked at the MAGA mob and said, you're on our side. Now, if it were BLM or Antifa, well, then obviously police would have been cracking skulls much, much sooner. But still, here you had police waving in these people who ended up being, again, incredibly violent. They started going nuts. And even then, by the way, police did hold back. Reinforcements were delayed, not brought in until later, all while people like Mr. Fanone and Brian Sicknick were being brutalized by that same mob. Fanone was dragged downstairs by the right wing, beat with metal pipes. Even somebody had yelled out, kill him with his own gun. Yeah. But they were just tourists, though. You understand, they were just tourists. Or maybe Andrew Clyde is a sad little cowardly man who puts his political career, the votes that he would get from pro-Trump people who don't believe that the election was at all legitimate. In fact, half of all Republicans believe that Donald Trump is still the president, which is insane. And you had, I think it was 15, 20% of Republicans saying, "Oh, that's okay. We should use violence to restore the republic, to reinstall the leaders that the true leaders of this country." Interesting. Very interesting. But again, Andrew Clyde is one of those sad little men who cries, and who puts his political ambitions above everything else, all so that he can stay in power. Very, very sad man. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.